Hello guys, I am back with another episode. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact any of our admins via our email address so that we can help you to share your story with the rest of the world. There is a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins, and the message reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Maybe it is going to help someone out there. I am a South African man. Life is not predictable, my brother. Sometimes we meet people who tell us that they have business opportunities. I am one man who is quick to jump on opportunities. However, this time it looks like we had struck a real deal and we packed our bags all the way from Limpopo to Pretoria. I've been a buyer of gold. This business, it is really good. I was dealing with a lot of Nigerian men whom I was selling the gold that I was getting from Zimbabwe. I was more like a middleman, but I was getting a lot of money. Lots of money are involved, brother. You will never believe it. Today, selling 1 gram of gold, it can get you 1,120 rands per gram or so. I got a call and that man introduced himself to me and he told me that he had these other guys who were stuck and they had 1 kg of gold and he wanted to help them to sell their gold. This man, Brother Nashi, the way that they robbed me, they were so clever. That man that called me, he said that he was a police officer and he was on this other roadblock when they stopped this other truck. And as they were searching that truck, they saw that there were some Zimbabwean men that didn't have any papers. That is when they got them out of that truck and they locked them inside a police van. According to him, one of those men who didn't have any papers, he looked so suspicious. So he thought of searching his backpack. And when he searched his backpack, he saw that there was a loaf of bread. And that man said that as they were removing those items from that backpack, he then noticed that by the time that he picked up that loaf of bread, it was really heavy. Then he opened it up and he saw that inside that loaf of bread, there was a lot of gold. That is the reason why he had called me, because he had spoken with some of his relatives and one of his relatives had given him my phone number. I was really excited. 1 kg of gold. The fact that he had called me by name, it meant that he knew me personally or one of his relatives knew me personally. But that man, he didn't want to tell me who this person or who this relative was. But I just said, business is business. In my mind, I had already laid out a plan. This was going to be the biggest profit of my career that I was going to get. This was like a paycheck from heaven. I said, if I managed to buy this gold from him, then I was going to resell it at a bigger price to my guys in Johannesburg. This was going to be a big deal. I told him that we were going to meet at a public place just for security reasons. We left Limpopo with a friend of mine. We were too trusting and we never knew that Soshanguve is a home of thugs. As we were driving from Limpopo to Pretoria, we kept on praising the Lord. This was going to be a lot of money because the way that me and my friend were calculating, I always had my calculator with me. I calculated and I said, if only I could offer them somewhere around 600,000 rands and I would make about 400,000 rands profit in a single day. Even my friend joked and he said, once we make this profit, I don't want to do this business anymore. I am going to find another means to invest this money so that I can just relax. We hit the road. Luckily, I had all the money in my account. Since I was not a newbie in the business, I knew that anything could take a wrong turn. And there were other guys that I was dealing with. I had told them that they should keep their money in standby mode so that if I wanted them to transfer me any money, they would quickly transfer me the money. That police officer, he had already sent me the pictures of the gold. We arrived at this other place. They gave us the location, and when we arrived there, it was at the hotel. Since the business is not allowed, we had no problem to be in a hotel room. They also knew a lot about my business. From the moment that we stepped inside that hotel room, I was really excited because the other guy, he was actually wearing his police uniform, and I said, a police officer will never rob you. He was here for a quick buck. And when I looked at the guys whom they had claimed that arrested at a roadblock because they didn't have any papers, I was really happy because when I looked at them, I saw that they were really desperate. Any amount of money that I was going to offer them, they were going to accept it. I was going to make a lot of money. They acted cool, especially those two police officers, as if they were professionals. We got into the room and they showed us the gold. It was real, and I was so excited to find lots of gold at one score. But suddenly, the plot then changed. All of a sudden, we were locked inside that hotel room. They left us in the room and they told us that they would return, and they justified locking, say that they had to attend to an emergency for a few minutes. The person who said that there was an emergency at the police station, it was that one who was wearing a police uniform. The other one said that he had knocked off, but since there was an emergency at the police station, he had to rush there so that he can see what was going on. So they locked us in. They said that we cannot leave this door unlocked for security reasons. When they left us in there was no reason to be suspicious because the gold was there. Those three Zimbabwean guys were there. It was only those so-called police officers that had claimed that there was an emergency at the police station and it was only going to take them a couple of minutes, then they will come back and we will finish up this whole deal. Brother Nashi, the reason why people are scammed, it is because of greed. Because when we were left with those three Zimbabwean guys, the way that they were speaking with us, greed entered into my heart because they kept on telling us about a lot of deals that they could offer us. They told us that one of their uncles had a mine. He had a gold mine there in Zim and he was looking for a buyer. I was really excited. I thought that this was my moment of success. I was going to become the most richest man in South Africa. They even told me that they even had access to those people that are dealing with rhino horns. That one I was afraid, but it was money. As we were locked up in that hotel room, we were discussing a lot of business deals. One of those guys even said that once we have given him his money, he didn't want to return back to Zim. He wanted me to assist him to open up a supermarket. We were discussing business. I don't know, maybe that is the reason why my ancestors had chosen to go to sleep on that day. My account was fully loaded with money, and the way that I had set my account, it can transfer any kind of money because with the kind of dealings that I was doing, Brother Nashi, on most days I would transfer a lot of money, and that was going to hurt me on that day. When those police officers came back, and this time around I was a little bit suspicious because that police officer who was wearing the uniform, when he came back, he was no longer wearing that uniform. And as soon as they had entered into that hotel room, one of those police officers could lock the door. In came two bouncers. They were really strong men. They took our phones. They pulled out guns on us. They started beating us up. They beat us up for a very long time with their guns pulled on our hands. They stole our phones. After that is when they forced me to log onto my banking application and forced me to transfer about 50,000 rand that was in my account. After that, they beat us so hard and they said that they were going to shoot us. I was really scared. Since they had seen a lot of money in my account, they said that me and my friend, they were not going to leave us in that hotel room. So they took us out of that hotel room. They put us in this other minivan because those men, what they did is that they drove with us from Johannesburg throughout the night. They dropped us in Polokwane. and they dropped us in Polokwane in the middle of the night. That minivan, it didn't have any number plates, and when they dropped us off, they had placed some plastic bags on our hands. They just threw us into the middle of the street. They didn't even stop that minivan. It was moving when they stopped us. It didn't have any number plates, Brother Nashi. And when they threw us from that minivan, they had tied some plastic bags on our hands. It was really terrible, Brother Nashi. By the time that we had managed to get up on our feet, that minivan was long gone. On that night, Brother Nashi, we had to sleep in this other street that is called Market Street. That is where they dropped us. Because of these dealings, Brother Nashi, we didn't even bother to go and report this case to the police. We just went back home and I was heartbroken, but I was grateful for my life. Hey, dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to us by one of our listeners. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact us via our email address. Then we will share your story with the rest of the world. I'll be back with another episode.